ආයිබෝවන් සුබ දවසක්. අපේ පුංචි කාලේ සුන්දර මතකයන් අලුත් කරන වැඩසටහන් අතරේ තවත් එක් සුවිශේෂී අපූර්ව වැඩසටහනක් ඔයාලට අරන් එන්න තමයි සූදානම් වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒ වැඩසටහන පටන් ගන්න කලින් මතක් කරන්න ඕනේ අපේ පුංචි කාලේ YouTube channel එක subscribe කරන්න, bell icon එක click කරන්න. එතකොට අපි වීඩියෝ එකක් දාපු ගමන් ඔයාලට බලන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම අපේ පුංචි කාලේ Facebook page එක like කරන්න. එතකොට අපි අලුත්ම විස්තර ඔයාලට දැනගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් අපේ පුංචි කාලේ සුන්දර මතකයන් ඔයාලට අරන් එන්න තවත් අපූර්ව වැඩසටහනක් මම කලින් කිව්වා වගේම අපි අරන් එන්න තමයි සූදානම් ඉන්නේ. ඉතින් එන්න අපි ආයෙත් පුංචි කාලේට යමු. මේ තමයි අපේ පුංචි කාලේ behind the character. ඉතින් මං කලිනුත් කිව්ව වගේම මේ වැඩසටහන ඉතාමත් සුවිශේෂී වැඩසටහනක්. එකට හේතුව තමයි මේ වගේ වැඩසටහනක් ලංකාවේ වෙන්නේ පළවෙනි වතාවට. අපේ channel එකත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා හිටියා නම් දැනටපත් ඔයාලා දන්නවා මොකක්ද මේ වැඩසටහන කියලා. ඉතින් නොදන්න අයටත් එක්ක මං කියන්නම් මොකක්ද මේ අපේ පුංචි කාලේ behind the character කියන්නේ කියලා. ඉතින් අපි හැමෝම ආදරය කරපු චරිත රංගන ශිල්පීන් ලෝකෙ පුරාම ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් අපේ පුංචි කාලේ ආදරය කරපු චරිත ඔයාලට ආයෙත් නරඹන්න අවස්ථාවක් ලබා දෙන්න තමයි, ඔවුන්ගේ විස්තර දැනගන්න අවස්ථාවක් ලබා දෙන්න තමයි මේ අපේ පුංචි කාලේ behind the character වැඩසටහන අපි පටන් ගත්තේ. ඉතින් ඒකට පළවෙනි ආරාධිතයා විදිහට අපිට සම්බන්ධ කරගන්න හැකි වුණා ඉතාමත් සුවිශේෂී චරිතයක්. මං හිතන්නේ ඔයාලා හැමෝම නරඹලා ඇති රොබින්සන් අන්දරේ කතාමාලාව. ඉතින් මේ රොබින්සන් අන්දරේ කතාමාලාවේ ක්‍රිස්ටිනා කියලා කියන්නේ අපි කවුරුත් ආදරය කරපු චරිතයක්. මේ ක්‍රිස්ටිනා කියන චරිතයට රංගනයෙන් දායක වුණේ මියා ලක්ස් කොනින් මහත්මිය. ඉතින් ඇයව අපි සම්බන්ධ කරගත්තා. ඉතින් අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නවා මියා ලක්ස් කොනින් මහත්මිය. Hi Mia, how are you?
I'm doing good, very happy to be chatting to you.
And we are talking about the show that you have acted a long back ago, the Swiss Family Robinson, as you know. So I think it's 1998 you acted on that show. Am I correct?
That's right. Yeah, I was 9 years old at the time.
Wow, wonderful. 9 years old. That's amazing. Mia, my first question is how you got into acting? You know, how you got that chance to act on Swiss Family Robinson?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I was living in New Zealand at the time, and I think New Zealand's become very famous because of Lord of the Rings. But New Zealanders are making TV series and movies for a long time because all the big American film companies, TV show companies, could come to New Zealand and make their shows for a lot less money. So the nice thing about living in New Zealand is there's very few people. There's only 3 million people. And when I was younger, my mother saw that I loved to act and I loved to do shows. And so, you could kind of go as a child and we got an agent. And because there were all these amazing shows being made in New Zealand, there was really the opportunity to audition for these kind of TV series. So I had an agent, I would go to auditions. I remember for auditioning for Christina, we had to go through about 8 different auditions, and they tested us with the different characters, see if there was a good fit. There was a lot of decision making that went into it, and so it took a few months of the process before I got the role, but it was very exciting at the time.
That's wonderful to hear, Mia. Mia, I want to know that when you start acting, how you started your acting career? I mean, what was your first experience as an actress? Maybe a stage drama or some kind of a television commercial or something. Tell us about your first experience as an actress.
No, I think my first, obviously, as a child doing some stage stuff, but my first paid role as an actor, I think I was about 6 years old. and it was an advertisement for an ice cream commercial. So I started out doing, like ads and small roles, and before I started doing TV series. Yeah.
So your first experience as an actress is an ice cream commercial. That's wonderful. So Mia, my next question is, have you studied about acting? Any college you have attended to study about acting? Did you study about acting during those TV shows?
I actually, when I was younger, I didn't. And I went on after I finished doing Christina of Robinson and some other shows. I did some more shows during my teenage years, but I actually trained and became a lawyer. So I went a very, very different route for a long time before coming back to doing performance. And so no, I never had any like formal training.
Okay, Mia. You said you were 9 years old when you played Christina. So tell us about that experience you had as a child and your first experience as an actress on a TV series. So tell us about that experience.
I mean, it was especially because, to shoot that whole TV series took about, I think it was 9 or 10 months. So it was quite a long time. And for me, I actually, my mother came with me for a few months, but mostly I stayed with chaperones who looked after us. So it was an unusual experience because as a child, you leave school, you go live in a different city. We filmed some of it in Wellington, New Zealand, which was that's where, the tree house, they built those tree houses out in the woods. So there was an amazing place where the tree houses are all built. But then for all the scenes on the island, we flew to Fiji and we lived on a boat. We literally lived on this big boat in Fiji for, I think, 8 weeks. And we filmed all of those desert island and beach shots there. And so for a child, for me, it was such an adventure. I think it was like going to all these new places. And I was very lucky. I think some people, I know some people who acted when they were children had really bad experiences. I had a wonderful experience. Everyone was so fun. And we had all the actors who were in that show were such kind people. And they were such loving people. So it really felt like being part of a family. And so even though I was very far from my family, it was a very good experience.
Okay, Mia. So I think it's time to recall those memories again. So I have prepared some video clips. So let's have a look.
Okay. Oh my God, I haven't seen that for so long. Oh, it makes me so emotional. I remember all of that. That's amazing. You reminded me was all the animals we had. I forgot. We had, the parrot they would spray paint him yellow, right, with food coloring. So they had this special food coloring to make him bright yellow. And the bird loved it because he liked to be very fancy. So when they would come to spray him yellow, he would spread his wings and open them up so that they could spray him. He loved being turned yellow. It was so funny. And he was so naughty. He used to, when we would be filming, sometimes he would just fly all the way to the top of a massive tree. And then the animal trainer had to climb the tree to go get him. And then everyone filming would stop for 2 hours to try catch the bird. Oh, it's great.
Wow. That is something we didn't know about. And you were always with animals. That's something that I admire always. And also that's something we fell in love with the show because you were always with animals and you loved animals. So as we are kids, we love that. So that's one reason we fell in love with that show. So
that's great.
And also we got to admit that all of the boys, most of the boys had crush on you when we watching that TV series.
It's so great. It's so fun.
And one thing I should say, the show had a Sinhala song, a theme song, which makes us feel like, you know, it's a Sri Lankan TV series. So when we hear that song, wherever we are, we always come to watch the show.
Yeah,
That's
interesting.
how we love that show. So yeah, my next question is there any unforgettable moments you had on set or off set, or when you were acting? If you can share with us some your memories, that unforgettable moments you had, that would be great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to film some of those scenes, so for instance, you know, the shipwreck scene, you know, when the ship was sinking, they built this big boat in a set. So there was a big warehouse, they built this big boat, and, you know, it was mechanical. So it would be like rocking. And then, of course, to get the feeling of waves, they had people like throwing buckets of water on us, right? So I remember, you know, like being on this big rocking boat and like being hit, like how they created all those experiences was so interesting. And I remember as a child as well, we had the mechanical shark. I think there was an episode where there was a shark, and they created this really cool robot shark to use under the water, which was, I think, you know, I remember Junior, who played Billy, we were so fascinated with the robot shark. We wanted to go swimming with the robot shark. And you know, it's interesting because I think when we lived on the island for 8 weeks to film, and, you know, everybody shared, we lived on a boat together, all the crew and the cast became very, very close. And so often we would have big dinners together, and we would I remember we used to do kind of like, a talent show. Off-camera stuff was really fun. Like, there was a real sense of community around it, and it's very special. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask about the character, Mia. The character you played as Christina. So Christina is a girl who is very brave and very innocent and honest. And I just wanted to know what you learned from that character. What did you learn from that character?
I think why I love Christina, I think one of the things that was so fun about her, and especially then, was like she was such a very honest character. She would always say what she was thinking, even if it got her in trouble. And I think she was very brave as well, you know, because that family being stuck on the island, I really liked that they wrote her character to be, you know, adventurous, and she stood up to the bad guys, and she believed in doing the right thing and was caring. You know, she cared a lot about, you know, the animals, but she was also very caring about Billy and about her family. So I think it was a really beautiful mix of showing, and that those things can live together.
Yeah. Okay. As you know that The Adventures of Swiss Family Robinson has dubbed in Sinhala in Sri Lanka.
Yes.
So it was done by Sri Lanka Rupawahini Corporation, which is the national channel in Sri Lanka. And it was directed by Mr. Atula Ransirilal. Your character, I think your character is the favorite one in Sri Lanka. And it was dubbed by, and I think you may know her, I think.
I chatted to her, yes.
She's Achini Nishadika Silva. She has done an amazing job behind that character, because she made it, you know, way familiar to us by doing her job so well. So she's a very big reason behind that success on that show. So let's have a look about that dubbed version in Sri Lanka.
Bruno, නිහඬ වෙන්න පාඩම් කරනවා. ඔයා වැදගත් මිනිහෙක් වෙන්න බිලි. ඇයි ඔයා එහෙනම් වැඩ කරන්න කියන්න මට එයාටම? මේ ඉන්නවා. මොනවද මෙතන කරන්නේ? ඔයා කිකිලියක් ඇබිලි? ඔන්න තරහ වුණොත් අහුලපු දේ ඔයාට නෑ. ඔය නම් බොරු. ඒක හුඟක් වටිනවා. ඔයා ඊරිසිය බිලි කප් බලන්න හෙන්රියාට. එයා හරියට නපුරු වෙලා. සමා වෙන්න බිලි. ඇයි මේ? බිලි හරි අහංකාරයි.
It's amazing. Such a good job, right? It's such a great job. Wonderful.
Yeah, so let me show you something else. I have a picture of her at your age. So let's have a look. Yeah. Can you see this, Mia?
Yes.
Okay, this is her when she was at your age. I think 9 years old when she also dubbed this character.
Oh, that was her at her age at the same time? Oh, amazing. Oh, I'm so happy she was able to bring it for life for Sri Lanka. Do you know, like to really, it's such a great thing that we can now do that so that we can hear and expect to enjoy it like that. It's so wonderful.
So by looking that, Mia, I was going to ask from you, how do you feel when you hear that someone adding a different voice to your character? How do you feel about that?
Do you know what? It's interesting. I think she did an amazing job, you know, because I think it's about capturing the feeling and the emotion, and she's obviously a very good actress. And I think, you know, from what I see there, obviously I can't understand the words, but I can hear the tone, I can hear the feeling, and it sounds so good and true and fantastic. So I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, well, I have done a program with her also about that character. When I said to her that I'm going to have an interview with you, she said to thank you to making her popular by doing this role. So, and she also invited you to visit Sri Lanka one day.
I want to come one day. I've never been before. I've never been to that part of the world at all. So.
And of course, that adorable voice and your character makes it perfect.
Well, it's fun because her and I are we made the character together, which is really special.
So it was a really nice combination in that character. So we fell in love with so much with that character.
Oh. It makes me feel so happy that what we created, you know, made a really fun and a really good impact. It makes me really happy. Yeah.
Talking about dubbed version, the show even had a theme song, which is Sri Lankan Sinhala theme song. So it was also done by Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, and it was so beautiful. So I think it was the biggest reason behind that success on that show. So now I think it's time to watch and see and hear to that song.
I can't wait to hear it. Beautiful. I'd never heard that version. So great. I was saying I hadn't heard that version before. It's beautiful.
Yes, that was a beautiful song that we even hear today. We'd love to hear it. It was done by Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, and it was written by Mr. Atula Ransirilal, and the singers who sang that song, Shashika Nisansala and Lal Rupasinghe. So as I said, it was the biggest reason behind the success of that show. So when we hear that song, wherever we are, we come to see and watch the show. So that's
Yes.
really amazing
Mhm.
when you feel that it's like Sri Lanka. So we haven't felt that it was a foreign TV series. It was like a Sri Lankan show. So the song and the dubbed version was feel like a Sri Lankan TV series. So that's the biggest reason, the success behind that show. So yeah, I was going to ask from you, Mia, what did you do other than Christina's character?
Yeah, I mean, so after that, I went on to do a few different shows.
Obviously, we have done some characters in Power Rangers, maybe.
Yes, so I did 2 seasons of Power Rangers. I did like a little bit on like Xena, Warrior Princess. I did some other series, I think it was called Revelations was one. I did a bunch of sort of the professional theater. I really got into theater for a while, and so I was doing professional theater. And but yeah, and then there's I went when I was 16. I then started university, and so I got very seriously into my studies, and I decided then that it's a difficult decision to make if you want to continue acting or to try something else. And I think for me, I had so much fun doing acting, but I felt like I wanted a new challenge. So I decided to kind of go down a different route, and I stopped doing some like acting. When I was finishing and graduating and became a lawyer, I decided to focus on that and stopped acting about 20.
Yeah, when I look at your profiles and everything, and I found out that you doing some stand-up comedy. That
Yes.
was amazing. Childhood actress and now stand-up comedian, and that was really amazing to see. And I've watched some of your shows, and you did a quite amazing job as a stand-up comedian. Tell us about that experience and about stand-up comedian.
Yeah, so I decided to try stand-up because I had been hosting these big events all around the world in health and wellness, personal development, and I loved that. It was getting on stage in front of thousands of people and guiding them through an experience of a days. And what I found was best was if you can make people laugh. And if you can make people laugh, they will listen, they will learn. And I think for us as people, it's easier to learn about ourselves if we can laugh at ourselves. And so all the comedy I do is about that. It's about being better. It's about spirituality, or it's about health and learning to laugh at ourselves. And stand-up comedy is a very, very, very tough thing to do, because no matter who you are, when you first start, and even when you're good at it, it is very embarrassing to learn. It's very hard. Most of the time, you feel like you're failing. But I actually did it for that reason. It's like learning how to be resilient and like to be strong and to have that kind of sense of persistence. So I was doing comedy in New York City originally. I started here. I started doing like in the tiny little New York City clubs and in the open mics, and it was very intense. And then eventually I produced my own show, which was the Consciousness Show, which is I think what you saw. And we filmed those in New York and in LA in front of live audiences, which was fantastic. And it was really fun to produce those shows and to do those shows, because it was a very unusual kind of comedy, which is, it was more intellectual, it was more spiritual based, and really about trying to like help people and to share experiences of how to live your life better and how to love better, So it was a good experience, yes.
Where did you ever able to connect with actors and actresses who played other characters on Swiss Family Robinson?
Well, so Junior, who played Billy, we actually ended up going to high school together. So we ended up in the same class at high school. So we did know each other for that period of time. But, I live in America now. I live in New York. And I hear, so the girl who played my sister, she still lives in New Zealand. Kieran Hutchinson, who played Ernest, he lives in LA. But I haven't, I think maybe once or twice we chatted online, but I haven't seen any of them for a very, very long time, no.
Now I have a question that came from fans. It's a fan question and it's quite a funny one. And fans asking from you, did Christina marry Billy?
No, she never did. She never did. They just stayed friends.
we always wanted to know that. As you see, that Sri Lankan fans, you always, live with those characters. So we wanted to know that when they going to marry, are they going to marry, like that. So it was a fan question. And talking about fans, where do you think that you have the best and most of the fans in the world?
I think definitely Sri Lanka. I feel very lucky. People reach out to me all the time from Sri Lanka to share their experiences, and it's like I said, it's always very moving to me to know that people enjoyed it and loved it, and I think that's definitely the most, from where I get those messages.
Oh, that was so lovely to hear.
It is great, yeah.
And talking about shows that you acted, did you receive any awards for your acting on any TV show or any TV series?
No, never. We get the reward of all the wonderful fan messages. That's the reward.
Yeah, that's all it matters, So fans are what you get, and it's what you want. Right? How do you feel about the popularity it got in Sri Lanka? Show made a huge success in Sri Lanka, I think, other than other countries, as I know, because it has shown from different parts of the world. But I think it got popular in Sri Lanka than any other country. What do you feel about that, and what is the reason behind that? Because obviously I know that because of that tropical nature and everything, feel like Sri Lanka, so you fell in love with that show. How do you feel, how it got popular more in Sri Lanka other than any other country?
I wonder, I think it sounds to me like something about it, I think you're right, maybe, the feeling of the tropical nature, it was dubbed, and then, I know that Sri Lanka, they often will still play it. So I know it played for, one or two times in other countries, but, like after the series stopped, they didn't play it again. Whereas I think in Sri Lanka, it sounds like, it's something that people grew up with and they watched and they rewatched. And so I think something about it must have felt, like you said, something felt Sri Lankan, so that people wanted to enjoy it and keep watching. So, which is great. Yeah.
Yes. It was shown, I think, quite a long time, and I think 10 or 15 times in Sri Lanka since 1999.
That's amazing.
So even today,
wow.
if you request it from the channel, and they even telecast it even today. So
wow.
That was amazing TV series that we had back in our childhood, and still we enjoy it. And still we love that show.
Wow.
So that's how we feel about that show.
Amazing. I didn't know it had that much success. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, I feel very grateful for everyone who watched the show, who enjoyed the show. It makes me so happy to know that it's brought happiness to people. That's the whole point of all of this. So it's so good.
Yeah, so what do you have to say to Sri Lankan fans as Christina, and also the actress who played Christina?
Well, I would say for everybody who enjoyed the show, who enjoyed watching Christina Robinson, who got to enjoy me playing Christina Robinson, I would wish you to, like I did, take the best lessons from that show, which I think are all about, you know, having good values for yourself and having, you know, love for your family and for having courage and a sense of adventure to create the kind of life you want and to do the things that are sometimes hard and scary, but the right thing to do. And I think to take those qualities of strength and kindness for your own life.
Okay, Mia, going to the final two questions. Mia, I want to know about your personal life. You know, I mean, even the fans would like to know what you are doing right now, your family, and where you live and everything. Tell us a bit about your personal life.
Yeah, so I mean, I live in New York City in America, and I co-founded a company last year, and I'm building this company. And the whole point of the company is to help people to find love. Because I think something I've noticed is that, I don't know what it's like in Sri Lanka, but in America, we have lots of dating apps like Tinder and this kind of thing. And unfortunately, I don't think it really helps people to build good relationships. I think it is actually often really hard for people and can be really hurtful for people. And it's become normal, but I don't think it's very good. So I created a company, and we're trying to create a different way for people to meet each other and to have really healthy, honest relationships and to find love in that way. So I'm very passionate about doing that, and we're very busy building that right now. And then so for me, that's really my focus. I love New York City. It's a wild and exciting city to live in. And unfortunately for me, most of my family still live in New Zealand. So and right now with COVID, nobody really travels. So I think, I'm sure every country has had their real struggles with it. America has definitely had struggles with it. So right now, I consider my family very much to be the amazing community of friends that I've been building here.
Are you the only one child in your family, or you have brother or sister?
No, I have a older brother and a younger sister, and they're both in New Zealand.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Mia, my final question is the experience you had with me about these shows and also a word about this program and APE PUNCHIKALE, which means our childhood, and the experience you had with me. Tell us a bit about how you felt.
Swiss Family Robinson was in some ways so long ago for me that I've forgotten how magical that experience was. And so to see the video clips again to remind me of how much fun it was, and to learn more about, the experience of how it was in Sri Lanka was really helpful for me, because I don't think people always write me messages, but I didn't really realize that it had made such an impact and people really enjoyed it so much. This was such a fun experience. And I'm very grateful to you for reaching out and for taking me back to that wonderful part of my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mia. Thank you so much for joining with me. To Sri Lankan fans and me, we're all grateful to you to joining with us to share your thoughts and experience with those shows, and it's really honor to me. Before we end, we have a formal way of saying goodbye. We put our hands together and we say, "Are you Bowan?"
Are you Bowan?
Wow, you did it very good. You could be a Sri Lankan. That means, may you live long.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Ayubowan, may you live long.
So with that, we're going to end the Behind the Character program, the first episode, with Mia Lux Koning, who has played the role of Christina on Swiss Family Robinson. We're really glad to have you on this program, and really thankful to you with joining with me like this. It's like
pleasure.
A dream come true for me. You always had dreams in our childhood to talk to the actors we loved, the the characters we loved. So it's like a dream come true for me and also for the Sri Lankan fans. So we also thank you for that. So hope you had a great time with me and the APE PUNCHIKALE Behind the Character program. I wish we could meet in Sri Lanka someday, and we really like to see you in Sri Lanka, and I invite you to visit Sri Lanka one day. So we hope to see you in Sri Lanka one day.
If I come to Sri Lanka, I will message you and I will make sure we meet up and have a nice coffee for sure.
Definitely. So we're going to end our show again, and we're going to say goodbye to our guest here, the Mia Lux Koning, who played Christina of Robinson.
Thank you.
ඉතින් අද දවසේ අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වුණේ රොබින්සන් නන්දනයේ කතාමාලාවේ අපි ගොඩක් ආදරය කරන ක්‍රිස්ටිනා චරිතය රංග දක්වපු ඒ රංගන ශිල්පිනිය ඒ තමයි මියා ලක්ස් කොනින් මහත්මිය. ඉතින් ඇයව අපි සම්බන්ධ කරගත්තා. ඒ වගේම තවත් ඉදිරියට අපි තවත් ශිල්පීන් රංගන ශිල්පීන් සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන මේ වගේ වැඩසටහන් වලට අරන් එන්න සූදානම්ෙන් ඉන්නේ. ඉතින් මතක ඇතුව අපේ පුංචි කාලේ YouTube channel එක subscribe කරන්න. මේ වගේ තවත් වැඩසටහන් වලට බලන්න පුළුවන් එතකොට. ඉතින් ඒ වගේම අපේ Facebook page එකත් like කරන්න. තවත් අලුත් විස්තර වලට දැනගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් අදට මම ගිහිල්ලා එන්න. තවත් මේ වගේම අපූරු අලුත් වැඩසටහනක් අරගෙන නැවතත් ඔබ හමුවන බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න.